This episode is brought to you by Painless Pregnancy. In case you missed it, I worked with Painless Pregnancy very soon after the birth of my third baby, and honestly, I wish I had found them earlier in my childbearing journey. I am so excited to tell you all about Painless Pregnancy and how, no matter where you are in your motherhood journey, the Painless Pregnancy team can guide you through happy and healthy pregnancies, postpartum healing, and beyond. Stay tuned for our promo code so you can get 10% off of your first visit with Painless Pregnancy. Welcome to the No Podcast with me, Nikki Spo. What is up, light beams? We have a Nikki Spo Unveiled episode today that I think carries a message that is really important for us to hear and remind ourselves of during the holidays, and that is that love is not dead. So as you all know, the no is not about knowing everything. It's about coming to know ourselves. And these solo mini episodes, I started to call them Nikki Spo Unveiled for many reasons, but one of them, well, besides the obvious play on words that I am no longer, quote, veiled, if you would, as someone's bride, is that I wanted to create a space to have deeper dialogues around topics that are important to me because, well, they are personal to me. And today, despite everything that has gone on in my life recently, I want to remind anyone listening, and especially myself, that love is not dead. If you're new here, go ahead and click the subscribe button so you never miss an episode announcement. I drop new episodes every Tuesday, and things are going to start getting pretty juicy. So if you're a seasoned listener and you're loving what you hear, go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating and a review. And with that, let's get started. So the last couple of weeks were pretty big for me because I released a joint public statement about a change in my personal life. And I am not here today to get into all of that, but I do want to talk about some of the observations I had about comments that were made in response to that news. So in addition to a lot of online hate, which is never awesome and also not something that I'm addressing in this particular episode, one of the comments that made me the most sad, like in a very general way, was that love is dead, that people feel like love is dead. And I observed that a lot of people felt the need to respond in that way. And it's wild, right? Like people all over the world make really difficult decisions about their lives every day. But in pop culture, which by the way, I don't necessarily consider myself a part of, we see uncouplings happening all the time. And I've seen people make that statement a lot when they've idolized people in relationships who have chosen to part ways, that love is dead. And so it got me thinking about how many people all over the world right now might actually be feeling like there is no hope in the world for love and romance. And I want to offer some encouragement today, and especially as we are in the holiday season, when emotions can run high, when people can feel lonely, and we by human nature tend to put so much pressure on ourselves to have that storybook fairy tale feel. So while I feel like I talk about a lot of like universal topics, and truthfully, this one is no different, these topics that can apply to like anyone, today I feel really called to speak to the women in my audience who might be feeling a little hopeless. And I want to share some personal sentiments and thought processes around my perception of love, how it can move and shift and evolve, where it comes from, and how it perseveres, even when things aren't as we want them or as they seem. So I will come right out and say it, since it is the title of the episode: love is not dead. It's not dead for me, and it's not dead for you either. And I want you to really believe that and lean into that on a soul level. Love is not dead for me because love is within me. I know it sounds really cliche, but it makes me think of an old favorite movie that people watch a lot during the holidays, Love Actually, where in the first few minutes of the film, they say, love actually is all around us. See, here's the thing. I have had great love in my life, big, huge love from people, as in more than one person, right? That I didn't always expect. Big love, fast love, long-lasting love, short and sweet love, weird love, wild love, rooted love, hard love and tough love, butterflies love, safe love, all kinds of love. And I believe that I have had that because I have wanted to have that, and that I believe that it exists. So love is not dead. No, not to me anyway, because I know that it exists in me, and I know that it exists in you too. And it's probably one of the scariest things because it requires us to be vulnerable and put ourselves out there to possibly get hurt for the risk of building these deep and meaningful and potentially romantic relationships with people or a person. You know, I think that the quote, love is dead statement comes from a place of exhaustion. You know, when I've read it or I've heard it, I have thought to myself, oh, we as a people are tired. We are tired of trying and hoping and being vulnerable and maybe not getting exactly what we want. And I think it makes sense that people would feel that way. I mean, I can relate to being tired too. I think anybody can. And here's the thing. I don't think that love really ever ends. I think back on my life and on the many people that I have loved and who have loved me. And despite any previous endings or previous new beginnings, I have always, as a general rule, felt very, very connected to love. And I believe that I can have it in my life. All right, my loves, I want to pause and take a moment to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Painless Pregnancy. I have been working consistently with painless pregnancy since the birth of my third baby, and I truly cannot sing their praises enough, which is why I'm so excited that they have come on as a partner for the Know with Nikki Spo. Painless Pregnancy is the leading in-home concierge physical therapy company focusing on the pregnant and postpartum woman. Not only do they provide incredibly valuable services to those women in pain or dysfunction, but they also offer every aspect of wellness. This means that they take care of you during your pregnant and postpartum season of life. They keep you strong and flexible. They keep your pants dry and your sex pain-free. They even do all of the body work needed to maximize your delivery. If you are currently pregnant or have ever been pregnant, you need to reach out to them. They are skilled in assisting with like a bajillion women-specific needs, such as pregnancy and postpartum, obviously, vaginal and C-section deliveries, pelvic floor therapy, physical therapy, diastasis recti, urinary incontinence, fecal incontinence, pelvic organ prolapse, and overall having a healthy pregnancy. I know. Some of this stuff is cringe, but these are like real things that happen, and oftentimes women don't want to talk about them. And you know me, I'm going to talk about it. So if you or anyone you know is on a motherhood journey, I highly recommend reaching out to Painless Pregnancy, no matter what season of motherhood that you're in. Use my code Nikki Spo 10 for 10% off of your initial visit. For more information, be sure to check out the sponsors page at nikkispo.com or check out Painless Pregnancy directly at www.painless-pregnancy.com. Until every woman heals, having this team in your corner to take care of your body is everything. So I have it's weird. It's kind of a funny, kind of story that I want to share here, but I think in a very odd and maybe aggressive question mark way, it had a huge impact on how I view love and human connection. I remember being a teenager and having broken up with my first ever boyfriend, the one I went OMG all the way with. And I remember being completely devastated that I was not marrying the guy that I shared my virginity with. And my dad, of all people, which is so awkward, had a conversation with me. And here's the thing about my dad. He's a very matter-of-fact kind of guy. And when I was a kid, and this is a small example that I'll come back to the original story, but when I was a kid and I asked what happened when we died, to our souls, he told me that we get put in the ground, which turned into me questioning what happens to our bodies, which led him to explaining that, the worms eat us, right? And this all made perfect sense to me. I was like, oh, well, that makes logical sense, right? So everything was very like scientific and matter of fact back then. And it's actually changed a lot since then, but it was what it was when it was. And I learned some interesting, and I say interesting because I don't want to place like a good or bad judgment, but I do find it interesting. I learned some interesting fundamental perspectives. So back to me sobbing to my dad that I felt like I was a big hoe because I wasn't marrying this original boyfriend, right? Like the first boyfriend. And he told me, and this might sit well with some of you, might really not sit well with some others, but this is what happened. He told me, honey, you're not going to marry this guy, okay? And you might not even marry the next or the next. And I want you to know that that's okay. And he went on to explain that I would be wise not to share myself with just anyone and to instead focus on my genuine connection with people. And so throughout my life, like that's what I did. I built real, beautiful connections in my life with the people that I loved. And my dad helped me believe in this very roundabout way that there are no limits on love or connection. As an adult woman now with 3 children, entering a very new phase of my own life, I don't believe that people meet a quota for the amount of love or romance that they can have in their lives. I choose to believe that opportunities for love are always surrounding us, and not always in the ways that we think. I think that most people probably yearn for romantic love and partnership. But when we start to think about love in a more philosophical way, I think that we can reap love's benefits all the time. And really, truly, I'm cringing saying this because it's not fun for anyone who might be healing from a broken heart to hear. But it starts with the love that we have for ourselves. So as I wrap things up in this season of the year of my own life and whatever journey that you as a listener may be walking, I want to encourage you to keep believing in love, in its existence and in its power, and trust that it's not dead and that it never will be, because it is always within you. And sometimes we just need to tap into that. So I hope that this resonates with you today. Maybe you have a friend in mind who is hurting or feeling hopeless when it comes to love. Send this to them and remind them that they are not alone and that you love them, because love, especially in the form of friendship, can bring so much hope to so many people. So be a light in someone's journey today. You guys listening, you are a light in mine. So thanks for tuning in with love. Special thanks to Painless Pregnancy for sponsoring today's episode of The Know with Nikki Spo. I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to heal with painless pregnancy after the birth of my 3rd baby, and I want everyone out there to know that they can have happy, healthy pregnancies with the professional help and guidance of the incredible team at Painless Pregnancy. Use my code NikkiSpo10 for 10% off of your first visit, and check out painless-pregnancy.com for more information.
Thank you so much for listening to The Know. If you loved this episode, go ahead and share it with a friend. Words are so powerful, and someone may need to hear what we covered today. And if you really loved this episode, please take a moment to rate the show and leave a review. Your comments are so important and valued, and they give other listeners insight on what to expect on The Know. You can connect with me personally via Instagram at Nikki Spo and The Know with Nikki Spo. My hope for you today is that you are fearless in looking inward so that you can be your highest, most authentic self and go after the life of your dreams.